All right, today in this lesson we are going to learn how to use trend lines to predict an answer choice. So if you remember from your notes, the trend line is this specific line that we can draw through our scatterplot data to see what the general pattern is. So we're going to use this example that you saw in your notes about a trend line talking about baby weights and their heights that correspond. So if you look at the green down below, it says we want to predict that a baby who is 27 inches long, we want to predict how much that baby will possibly weigh. Now this is a prediction. This is not an accurate answer. This is an answer based on pattern of seeing how this trend is growing. So if we look at this 27-inch mark, which is right here, we see that it hits that trend line at the 15-pound weight mark right here. So we know, just like it says in green, that we can predict that a baby that is 27 inches long is likely to weigh 15 pounds or is going to weigh around 15 pounds. Now that doesn't mean that when we have a 26 or 27 inch baby, that baby can't weigh 12 pounds or 20 pounds. They can, we're just using it based on this trend. So to show you in another example, we're going to make a prediction based on the evening time watching the TV. So they want to figure out how much sleep someone is getting if they watch 5 hours worth of TV. So if we draw our trend line, so remember a trend line, you want to have about as many up top as you do below. So when we draw this trend line and we look and see, okay, at 5 hours, I hit the about 3.5 mark on my trend line. So that means that if someone watches 5 hours of sleep in the evening, they are likely to get about 3.5 hours of sleep. Another example, we want to predict, looking at a trend line, how much a value of a car is when it's 10 years old. So if I were to draw again that trend lines you want to make about as many above as below. Some will intersect the line and that's fine. We want to see where it's going to hit at the 10-year mark. So I follow up to the 10-year mark and it is going to hit at about $16,000. So a car is worth about $16,000 after 10 years. So using predictions to talk through some last remaining things, some things that you do want to remember. A trend line follows the trend of the data and uses this to show the relationship between two variables. We learned about that last week. The trend line may or may not pass through the points, so just note sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Trend lines do not always start at the origin, so if you notice, some of them started up at a y-intercept. And making predictions means that you will need to go beyond the data, and it is an estimation. So again, sometimes you may be subjective, but as long as you make a valid prediction and can justify your reasoning, you should be good.